What's the word, Harrisburg? My name is Matt Maisel. Springtime is here in the city of Harrisburg, and that means two things. One, the allergies are going to get you. I am living walking proof of that right now. And two, the music scene is back. It is hot, and we have the person who is here to talk about that on this week's edition of What's the Word, Harrisburg. Frank Schofield, the Director of Live Entertainment at Harrisburg University. Sir, thank you so much for coming in.
First of all, thank you for having me here. Do you know, I've been in local media, political scene since '85, and I'd never been in this studio before. And I've worked at all the traditional media around, and I've never been in here before. So I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled just to be in here and be part of this. I used to walk down the street, see it on the TV. And
this is really cool. I mean, this is a testament to the work that's being done behind the scenes by our producers and multimedia specialists, our managers, Asher Johnson, Emily Speck. They have done such an amazing job of creating this studio. Because before, I mean, it just used for, you have the black curtain and occasionally you'd have.
I always knew it was here, but I never knew what was going on in here.
Well, for the last year or so, we've been doing stuff like this.
Right.
What's the word, Harrisburg? We have our music show, which we're going to talk about a little bit, as well as studio sessions at Channel 20. And we want to use it more because we have this great space and there's so many stories in the city to be told.
Right. And you've kind of had the same path as me, right? You were in traditional media for a while, right?
Right. So
you were at 43?
I was at Fox 43 from 2015 until February of 22. So I was there for 7 years. I was a reporter and anchor, and then made the transition out. And I mean, I was in traditional media. I was a sports reporter in Johnstown, Pennsylvania before that.
You did sports?
Yeah.
Home of the Johnstown Chiefs.
That's right. I watched the very last Johnstown Chiefs game before they were gone, sold off.
The Cambria War Museum is a wonderful.
It's a treasure trove.
It is the best.
I mean, I'm assuming you're asking me about that.
We should be talking about that.
This is my time. I can ask whatever I want. I'm assuming if you're asking me about that, you're familiar with Slapshot and the history behind that. The one thing I'll say about Johnstown is that downtown Johnstown today, and I lived there for almost 8 years. I have nothing bad to say about the city. It looks exactly the same today as it does in the final scene of Slapshot.
Yeah, it does. It hasn't progressed. It's kind of no progress yet. Yeah,
it's tough.
It's a tough town.
But on the flip side, I think Harrisburg has done a fantastic job of progressing.
Sure.
And we have something like what you are bringing to the table with Harrisburg University and this music scene that for the last few years has kind of been. You feel like it's kind of like building momentum, like an avalanche, kind of going down the hill. And
it's a little nuts.
I mean, it's fantastic.
Yeah. So we started this around 4 or 5 years ago. We started the university, and there's really not a music scene. And I got together with President Eric Darr, and we did our first. I think it was for an e-gaming conference. It was a Hugh Fest, and they were looking for a show to do. And I kind of saw the vision of, all that the university has to offer, all that the city has to offer, and just really put a music scene together. And he said he loved that idea. And don't forget, remember, I was involved in the First Fridays. I was involved in all of those events in the city in the past, so it was a natural. So I really didn't think about it, but I've worked with the city like almost my whole life, like my whole career, like in some way, whether I was in radio, whether I was doing sales, or whether I was doing concerts or doing whatever. So this kind of just became like the perfect opportunity for me, to put it all together. And I couldn't be any happier. I couldn't be any prouder. And, what we're doing is really bringing the culture on. We're not just a suitcase town anymore, but now major acts can come here, and you're getting the shows that you would get out of Baltimore, Philly, or Pittsburgh. You're getting them here right in Harrisburg. And that was unheard of before all this. So we're pretty happy about what we're doing.
Yeah, and most of the time, I mean, you have to go out to Hershey and pay an exorbitant amount of money to see a show at the stadium or the arena. Or like you said, go out to Camden, go out to Pittsburgh, go down to Baltimore to see these shows. But, I mean, you're getting acts at Riverfront Park or XL Live that are well-known, good acts. And people can afford it, too.
I think it was last year. It was the Lord Huron show, where when I looked at the schedule, and they always send me, you make an offer, you get the show. But then when I saw that they were going to Meriwether Post right after me. Like we had the Saturday
Wow.
night Lord Huron show, and the very next night they were at Meriwether Post in Maryland. I think that was the first time it kind of like hit me where I actually paused in my chair. I was like, whew, man.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool stuff, yeah.
Because
That is
here's the
cool.
thing. I mean, if I'm looking at it as a fan of these acts, if I'm looking
Right.
at it as a fan of Jason Isbell, or if I'm a fan of the Roots, I mean, these are just some acts that are coming in. You're looking at that calendar and you're figuring out how many acts can I go to how many shows can I go to this summer?
Yeah.
Because it's not just the people that live in that area.
Right.
A lot of the fans will go to multiple shows over the course of a summer or a spring or a tour session.
We've had the Harrisburg Hershey Visitor Bureau put a economic impact on this market, and it's I think it's $2.4 million that our summer shows put into this market. With restaurants, hotels, that's all formula based and how they crunch those numbers out. But we have made an impact, and we've made an impact in the industry. And it used to be that I would have to go out and say, hey, can I get this? Hey, can we bring this act in? Or hey, can we do that? Now they're coming to me like, can you do this? Can you take this date? Can you take this show? So I'm turning away stuff as well as I'm accepting stuff. So we've really become, we've made something out of nothing. And I don't mean to discard the City Island days of concerts or anything else like that, but we're actively in the Forum. We have Father John Misty. We have a full lineup for the fall that's coming in. We have Riverfront Park, where we put 4,000 to 5,000 people in Riverfront Park for 6-7 dates a year. And then we have XL Live, which we do a tremendous job with a full roster as well, which is all high quality, good acts that we're really putting through, good content that we're putting through. And not to put anyone else aside, HMAC's doing a great job. Everyone, Hershey does a tremendous job, Hollywood Casino. So that competition has all risen and has all come in once we started putting things together, and naturally so.
It's the whole rising tide lifts all
Right.
boats sort of
Right.
things.
And I'm happy for everybody. If
Right.
anybody can make a nickel at this and get it done, I'm happy for everyone.
Well, if you can help establish Harrisburg as a music scene,
Yeah.
then people are going to want to come
Right.
to HMAC. People are going to want to schedule other shows throughout the year.
It's great.
And that's ultimately the positive part of it.
Yeah, I'm really proud. I mean, I have a lot of great people around me. I have John Harris behind me. I have Sarah Bozich, who's helping out with all the marketing. We have a lot of, even my people, Dwayne Mon, Eric Darr, Ryan Riley, all the people with the university that do a tremendous job. Tyler Davis. There's so many people I could talk about that are all on the same team. And when you see our shows at Riverfront Park, you really do sense a sense of team, because we are building a big, large venue out of something that's so beautiful right along the river, where the river's going by and the train tracks are going above it. And it's just,
It's so unique.
It is
There's
unique.
no other place to really kind of
you know
get
what the
that
hardest part
scene.
is when we first looked at it, that I was like, there's no way, it's too small. And then I was like, wait a minute, what if we wedge this stage right in between this tree and this tree? And there's a lot of wedging, there's a lot of shoehorning and wedging that goes on down there. But
It's using the natural environment.
the night of a show, when you come, it's gorgeous. It's like you walk in underneath that train track right in front of the hospital, right along the river, and you walk down this path, this winding path where you have your hydration and your beverage stands to the right, and then you have your food trucks to the left, and you have your VIP, and then you have all these tents along the road, and you don't even see the stage yet. And then it opens up into this beautiful area where the stage is. And by the way, there's going to be 20 to 30 pontoon boats out in the river. I don't
sun
charge
setting
them.
behind
I don't
you,
charge
right.
them, by the way. I can let them.
Right.
They come in for free. But it's just, the back end of the house that we have is top notch, so that the artists are comfortable. The artists can come in knowing they're not just in a tent with a porta potty or anything like that. We actually build a facility. That's the back end of the house, because remember, it takes 30 to 40 people to build a stage, or to build that. It's not small, and it's a big team effort. I'm really proud of everybody that we do, and the city of Harrisburg's tremendous. The police officers that do a great job, the maintenance guys, the hardworking guys that come up and help us be great, and they really do. There's nothing second chance about any of this, and they're all very proud of what they do.
The turning point for me was a couple years, I think it might have been 2 years ago, where I saw the Roots were playing.
Yeah. Did you come to that show?
I did. Every time the Roots are here, I'm out of town. I'm on my family vacation.
Dude, the Roots was a party. It was crazy.
But you see that, like, No,
was
they,
fun.
they, they must be playing in Hershey or something like that. Or
No.
there must be, no, they're playing in Riverfront
And I've never
Park.
seen so many people that I didn't know. And I'm talking established people from different parts of the city, downtown, uptown, north, south, everywhere. Everybody was smiling. I've never seen so many people smile and dance as what the Roots show was. The Roots show was so much of, it was just so fun.
The Roots did Woodstock '99. Like, I
Right.
mean, they are one of the most well-known
You know the
hip-hop
funniest part
acts
about that show
in the world.
Funniest part of that show is usually when a show comes in, it's two trailers, two buses, two big buses that are all lined up, and they sleep in. And then they have their production trailer, which has probably 3-4
Yeah.
buses. These guys came in all in SUVs, all separately. So the back of the house was nothing but big SUVs. So they literally all drove in separately from Philly and New York, did the show, and then they left right away separately. They all came in and then left.
Well, they had the Tonight Show the next night.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure.
No, it was a Saturday. I'm pretty sure it was a Saturday.
It was a Saturday? Okay,
yeah, it was
good.
A Saturday. Just like
Good.
we have this year on a Saturday.
But I mean, like that, when you get an act like that, and what was the moment for you where you thought, oh, this is something, we've got something cooking here.
I was nervous about the Roots because the Roots didn't advance real well. Meaning they didn't tell me. Usually when a band comes in, they tell me exactly what's going to happen. They're going to let me know what they need help with, what they need on the stage, what they need back at the stage. Roots told me nothing. So I'm like, man, these guys aren't telling me anything. So I was like really nervous about the show. And here they came in and they were all just so professional and so over the top. I'm looking forward to having them again. It was such a fun show. But Lord Huron was a great show.
Yeah.
And Death Cab for Cutie was great. The National was great. We just had such great shows down there at Riverfront Park.
And you're a lot of some of these acts. You mentioned the National. I totally forgot about that show. They're an act which is getting big now. I think they're either scheduled or just played the Garden.
We had Nathaniel Rateliff last year.
Right. Exactly.
And the Night Sweats. This year we have Mount Joy added into the group, and we have a bunch of solid shows, and we have a really big one coming up that we're going to be announcing soon. So we're really happy, and I can't dismiss all the hard work at XL either that we're doing down there in the spring and the fall, because those are all, they're all like my kids. And you bring them in, you make an offer, and you remember you have to plan a show probably a year out, 9 months out. So it's not like they just happen and they show up.
Right.
Like, you just don't decide right before they go on sale tickets that they're happy. There's a lot of long planning, a lot of great people in the industry.
For a music lover like you, what is more exciting? Is it getting the big acts in where you get the huge crowds, or is it like what you're doing with these emerging artist series where you get a band like Certainly So, which is starting to make a name for himself, and you're able to kind of get him on the ground level?
That's all. It's all very fun. I mean, I enjoy it all, but it's all like different types of fun and energy. Like there's always energy. I always feel excitement when a show goes on sale. I always feel excitement when a show sells out or when ticket sales are good. And I love show day. There's nothing better than show day. I usually don't sleep much the night before. You're usually on at the venue, like at Riverfront Park, you're usually there like 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, waiting for the trucks to come in or waiting to get in. And then it's just a long day of preparing for a get together with a bunch of your friends and having a little party, and it's great. And I can't thank the city enough, or the commissioners enough, or everyone that's involved, or all of our sponsors obviously that's involved, because they really do help support. It's really hard just to make it tickets for talent alone. You really need support. You really need sponsorship dollars, and you really need booth space, and you need great people to help market it and great people to organize it on the back end. It's a long call sheet at the end of the day to know exactly what time everything is going off at what time.
You mentioned earlier about what this does from an economic development standpoint for the city, and how the Harrisburg Hershey tourism department estimated that, like, what did you say, like 2.4 million?
2.4, something like that.
Yeah. When you are able to kind of help the city out in that regard, and drive people to, eat, because they're coming in and they're eating at the restaurants and they're staying downtown or staying at a hotel. What does that kind of mean as someone that's kind of been here for a while and is able
It's
to kind
great.
of help give back to the community?
I've
that
been
way?
here, like I've worked in this city my whole life. Like I worked at Wink and I worked at everywhere, and I've always been during the Mayor Reed days and the Linda days, and all the things that have come through. And the city's always been one that you root for. The city's that never really got the props that it deserves, and it's always kind of been this cagey little thing. And it's like you always want to root for them to do well and do well. So anytime you can do well, and I know Ron Kamianka had a huge run on the 2nd Street run, and you're always rooting for the mom and pops and the little guys to get going and get that 2nd Street going, or getting 3rd Street going, or getting whatever part of the city. You just want it to get going. And it's always been that cagey little animal that you just want to just like, come on, let's go, let's do this, come on, we got this. I think everybody East Shore and West Shore is always rooting for the city, and anytime that we could pull off something as ace as what we're doing now, I'm really proud of. Seems like a culmination of all my work.
What I mean, and that's I would imagine that is like the best part of is knowing how much work you've put into it up to this point, and here you have this situation where it's really kind of paying off dividends.
Yeah, one of the big things, I guess when you asked before, one of the moments that I enjoy and love, I think it's during a show when I am down there in the park. It's probably 3 or 4 o'clock on a Friday, and we're getting ready for a show, and Front Street is packed. You cannot move. You can tell the traffic is backed up. That's one of the moments when you realize, all right, we're doing something here.
It's funny you mention that because for so many people, that's like the worst part of the day on a Friday. I just want to get home.
They're probably like, there's a show. And we warn them, get out early, right? We got to do something.
No, but it's true. I mean, sometimes
but isn't that what we want?
The surest sign of success is that traffic backup.
Yeah.
In a weird way. So
don't we want the city to have a waiting line for reservations for dinner? Don't we want the city to be packed? Don't we want the hotel to be jammed up?
Absolutely.
And we love the farm show packed, and
it's great for everyone.
I think we take for granted. I think the people that work in the city take for granted how special it is or how special it can be. And it's always, because you always say, oh, Hershey's doing that. Well, Hershey does a great job at what they do, and they do their job great. And that's what Harrisburg they just need to keep doing the stuff that we do great and keep doing it. And I think a lot of times people in the city overlook it. I really do.
Hershey doesn't have a river with a beautiful sunset going behind it.
It's beautiful,
and a riverfront
or the Senators
concert value.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are doing just great work. And the river ties us all together.
We were when the Shapiro administration announced that they were having people come back. Mm-hmm. That was music. So we've been pushing that for, because that gets 2,500 people on a daily basis coming back into the city 3 times a week.
I can tell. I mean, you can tell the highway's busy coming in. Mm-hmm. You can tell that the street's busy for lunchtime during the afternoon, and I think it all pays off. I think that working from home, I think people need to come back, and if they can come back in the city, it only helps the city tremendously.
If it means leaving work 15-20 minutes earlier, leave work 15-20 minutes earlier.
Yeah, and that's why that's why the university has built our new building that we have over there near the old Brico.
That's exciting for you guys.
That's huge. Have you been in it?
No, not yet.
Massive. It's massive.
I know it's a walk around the block. I got to get there.
Come on down. I'll give you a walk through and all that. But it's just massive, and what that's going to add into the city is just tremendous growth. And the university's grown tremendously as well. I do want to mention that we have started a live entertainment portion into the university. We're actually teaching kids how to get into live entertainment, how to work a mic boom, how to set up mics to go into the wall, how to hang a speaker, how to do everything for a show to go off, because there's so many jobs behind the scenes that no one even knows about, how to get involved or what it takes. It takes a lot of effort to market a show. The tour managers that have to get these guys around from town to town and figure it out. So there's a lot of hard work out there that I think there's jobs and there's careers out there that people don't realize that they could do a career that is job sustaining, family sustaining for your family or your girlfriend, or if you're looking for the future, live entertainment's great.
That makes so much sense, because great example of jobs that exist that you take for granted.
Yeah.
You don't think about going to school to learn that stuff,
right?
But it's so true. And Harrisburg University exists.
We're popping it in. We're getting it started. I'm starting this fall.
Starting this fall, what is it? Live Entertainment 101. What's the major?
I'm not teaching it. So
okay.
I'm not a teacher. I'm just a promoter.
What I mean, do you know what
it's a certification class. And I think it is called Live Entertainment 101.
Is it?
I'm not even sure, but I think that's what it is called. Why shouldn't it be called
Why shouldn't it be called Live Entertainment 101? Yeah.
Just dumb it down and figure it out.
That's
but
fantastic.
There's so many things to do, like how a board works.
Sure.
How a bass is different than a treble. How to figure out how light strobes or how smoke comes up.
Right. I mean, for so long, I mean, the only people that would know that are people that were playing in bands.
Well,
but not everyone can play in a band. So
yeah, and think about this. Live entertainment is just not concerts. It's churches. It's conventions. It's the Hilton. Mm-hmm. It's different avenues for people to communicate in a social set being. I've always said that live entertainment, if you go to a concert, it timestamps people's memories. Meaning that when you saw a concert 10 years ago, you remember how much money you had, the car you're driving, if you had a good relationship or a bad relationship with your girlfriend or wife or whatever was going on. But it's the only medium that does that. Movies doesn't do it. TV does not do that. Sporting events does not do it. But concerts, you know exactly what was going on in your life. And you can look, I remember at the U2 show way back in 92, I had a bad girlfriend, I didn't have much money, and I remember I was driving a VW Volkswagen Bug or something like that. But you remember those things, and that's what concerts do, and that's the kind of memories that I want to give to people, is just help them timestamp their memories and live a better life. And I think that's what Harrisburg University is doing.
Best concert you've been to?
Oh man, I've seen a million.
Really?
I've seen.
You don't
I really
say.
have.
You don't say.
You know, you can never get away from the U2. Metallica was great. I think one of the most touching shows I was ever at was a Tragically Hip show in Canada. It was one of the lead singer's last shows before he passed.
Oh wow!
And you know,
that was only a few years ago.
There's only so. You remember that show?
No. I know that
Gord Down.
Gord passed away. Probably what, 5 years ago at this point.
He did. Do you know the story? So the story was he had brain cancer.
Right.
And they announced it. And then the very next day, they announced, by the way, since Gord has brain cancer, we're going on the road. And they went on the road. They went on the road for like 15 dates. And I just happened to score tickets for the very last show in Toronto.
Wow.
So we go to Toronto, I go to the show, and literally at the show, the band leaves. And Gord stands there alone. When you have this disease of brain cancer, they're going to pass soon. It's inevitable. He just said goodbye to everybody. And the whole stadium was packed. And everybody was just bawling. It was the most emotional scene at a concert I've ever been to in my life. Because it was just crazy because, you know, and ultimately, like 2-3 months later, he passed.
Did you have a musical relationship with the Tragically Hip? Or did you go because you knew that this was going to be like a watershed moment in music?
No, I had a relationship with the Hip. It's funny you asked that because when I was at Wink 104, we used to have the Hip come down. I started, John Harris used to have all these Hip shows down at the Villa Leo in New Cumberland or whatever. And so the Hip would always come through town and they'd always do these shows. So growing up when I was at TPA and do all these shows, I'd always go see the Hip. Well, when I was with Wink 104 with Bruce, I actually brought the Tragically Hip into the studio. We set them up in the conference room and they actually played like 2 or 3 songs in the conference room. And then we talked to them on the air and all that stuff. And it was all a tremendous, it was just a great time. So I kind of did feel this affinity to the Hip to make it work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Gord was, and I wasn't close to him. It's not like they knew me. It was just, everybody has their band.
Right.
And you know what the secret of having, when everybody has a band is? It's your secret. It's, you own it. Like, what's your favorite band?
Oh man,
Just pick one.
It's Dave Matthews Band.
Okay, so
I mean, that's
to you,
going
when
back
you
to
walk,
my childhood.
But when you walk in a room or when you listen to it, it's really it's kind of like your thing. Like the bands that you love and travel with you in your life, they kind of make up the fabric and textile of who you are. And that's different than that person, that person, and that person. Everybody has their own secrets, and that's kind of what makes up who we are as people. That's the way I take it apart.
That's incredible. That's fantastic. I went through I've been Dave Matthews through and through my entire life, and there was a period of time where, you know, there was so much anti-Dave Matthews sentiment out there where I kind of shied away from it.
What happened in Hershey, by the way? Why haven't they been back in so many years?
I would love to know.
I think there's a story there.
I would love to know.
But I don't know what it is.
Because it's so...
It used to be like every year.
And they also would go to Philly all the time. They don't go to Philly, the Camden anymore either. If you want to go
Dave's such
somewhere,
a fun show.
Well, that's the thing. Like it got to a point where I went and sat in the lawn, and I had already graduated college, and I'm just like, I'm too old for this. I'm too old for the lawn seats.
I get that. I've been there.
The lawn seats is what I could afford 2 years out of college.
Right. I get it. I totally get that.
But I feel like if I were to go to a show now,
so you're a pit guy now?
What?
You're a pit guy now?
A pit guy?
Yeah. Like
I have to. Yeah. I mean, I would have to go. And that's the thing. Like when I went to my other favorite band is Fish. I'm that. Well, you rolled your eyes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I love Fish. I think Fish is great.
Okay.
Fish is one of the coolest shows. Excuse me. I went to the Fish show last year. I grew up as a deadhead.
Where?
Me?
Yeah. No. Where was your Fish show last year?
Hershey.
2 years ago.
Oh, was it 2 years ago?
Yeah. They didn't come to Hershey. I was at the Hershey
So I
show
grew up
2
a
years ago.
deadhead. So I was always like, Fish is just a bunch of dead wannabes. And I was just like, whatever. And then I went to that Fish show. I was so blown away. Mm-hmm. First of all, that you could walk from the back of the arena to the front and actually touch the stage and nobody was going to stop you. Like you can walk right through that crowd because all they're just doing is just dancing and
Right.
jamming out and doing their thing. So I was blown away by that. The second thing I was blown away was how great the show was, and I didn't know one song, and it felt very
Really?
dead. Like I didn't know any song, but how great the light show was. That light show was dropped. It was probably one of the greatest light shows I've ever seen. I mean, outside of a Pink Floyd show, that's pretty much.
There was one song, and I remember it because it's my favorite Fish song is Free. It's off the album Billy Breathes, and they played it second. It was second on the set. And the light show, during the jam part of the song, you could see the light was started to form a roller coaster.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I think I know.
And it took about halfway through for people to realize,
they
like,
do form.
once it crests and it started to come down, people realized what it was. It was a roller
amazing.
coaster.
And I don't know if it's like micro lights or like what it's exactly doing.
Well,
but it's so cool the way they did it.
And they put their budget. If you notice at Fish shows, they do not have, and I'm not trying to make this a Fish podcast, although I would gladly make it a Fish podcast, but it's not. If you notice at Fish shows, they don't have video boards.
They do not.
A lot of places have video boards where you watch and whatnot. Fish does not do that. They put all
there wasn't
their
even
work,
any on the side?
Nothing.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I noticed that when I went to see him 4 years ago in Philly. That was my first Fish show. All this time that I was a big Fish fan, because they had taken hiatus for a number of years, and they came back together. My brother and I went to see the show.
I think someone's moving in upstairs.
Not sure what that was. My brother and I went to see their show in Camden, and I'm like, "Where's the video boards? We're so far back, I can't see anybody." He's like, "No. Just pay attention to the lights, pay attention to the music."
Yeah.
And so they put all of their effort into the light part of it, because you can't get much from watching someone up close, but if you see the lights,
the lights are tremendous, and that's why they're really encamped at Rock Lidditz. And with Claire,
that's true,
and with all those, because that's where they store all their gear.
Right.
I mean, it's not, to most acts it would be a pass through, but for those guys, that's really their home.
Yeah.
And because they're the best, and they got the best stuff down there, and to see that show, I went both nights, and I loved it. I really did love it, and I didn't know what was going on. I really felt like I wasn't a promoter, and I didn't know anything. Like, I didn't know the set list. I didn't know anything. I was just like, I was really free form, like, oh, wow, this is kind of cool. Like, I took my daughter down actually with me the second night. I said, you got to come. Like,
come on. We're talking about our memories of these shows over the years. And the great part about, and you kind of touched on it, is that we have so many shows coming up in the city this summer, whether it's XL Live or down at Riverfront Park.
We are drunk with content.
People to make their own new memories. For someone, that's going to be their first concert.
And it's always about the story to tell. And it's always about a story to tell of us doing the shows and the university growing, and for the people to enjoy all the different genres and types of music. We just had a show the other night. There's like a back-to-back where we had Wilder Woods. That was tremendous.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to expect, and blew me away. And then we had this band, Lucius. Lucius plays, like, they actually started, these two girls started playing for Roger Waters. And they were backup singers in his band. And then they broke off of that and formed this band, Lucius. And it was just it was a cool show. It was just like so fun. It was just so different. And we're really doing things that major markets are doing, but we're doing them right here in Harrisburg. I urge everybody to go to our, just sign up for our mailing list, sign up, watch this show, just do whatever you can, but we're doing really fun stuff.
We're going to put up on our website all the information that people can go to get more information on tickets, what the sets are, what the acts are, things like that. Jason Isbell, Roots, Head in the Heart, Milky Choice. All of these all of these acts which are coming to the city of Harrisburg this summer, these are main acts, and it's thanks in large part to you.
No, it's with the university, and I'm just living my best life right now. I really am. So I'm just really happy and blessed to be here and just be running to work every day like I do, for real.
Frank Schofield, thank you so much for joining us on What's the Word.
I want to come back. I kind of like this.
We're going to have to do it later this summer. We'll do a summer recap.
It kind of fits me.
Thank you so much.
You got it.
That's the Word Harrisburg. We really appreciate you coming into WHBG TV 20 for What's the Word Harrisburg. Hope you catch a couple shows this summer. Take care.